If they hadn't made the errors, I think they would have been.
The first error seemed to be just a loss of edge by him. He must have caught a rut. There it goes. Outside edge of his left skate, but they got up to recover well and probably do enough.
Well, indeed it was. Dana Mednick and Jason Briggs, who were third last year, claimed the championship this time. And after a very disappointing performance from Jackie Soames and John Jenkins, the leaders after the technical programme, well, they have to settle for silver. And bronze goes to Leslie Rogers and Michael Aldred.
And Dana Mednick and Jason Briggs have been selected for the British team for the European Championships in Denmark next month. Britain doesn't have a pair at the Olympics at this stage anyway. Stephen Cousins has been selected for both the Olympics and the European Championships, and John Martin gets a place in the Europeans. Those selections made yesterday. Well, the British Rallycross Grand Prix from Brands Hatch is after our last race of the afternoon from Cheltenham, where we rejoin Julian Wilson.
And a dramatic triple print Gold Cup with Martin Pipe coming out of the wilderness to land a big odds gamble with Fragrant Dawn, and jockey Declan Murphy completing the rare double of the Mackeson Gold Cup and the triple print with a truly spectacular ride on the winner. A short while ago I spoke to them. Well, Martin, Declan, congratulations, a fantastic success. Declan, you were about 50 yards behind when you jumped 2 fences. Martin, was that the plan?
That was the plan, and he carried it out to the tee.
Did you have any worries in the race? I mean, you did get a long way behind early on.
Yeah, I think Mr. Pipe and I were both of the same opinion before I rode the horse. I think, you know, he asked me what I thought him. As I was telling him, I knew he had thought the same, that this horse would stay. I've seen plenty of him in a lot of good 2-mile races.
Yeah, but this was 2 miles 5.
It was 2 mile 5, but I mean, he you know, I thought if he walked out the gate, settled, I thought he would get it.
Martin, you bought this horse at the sales at Doncaster.
Yes, we went to buy this one at Doncaster. I've seen him perform all his life. I always thought he'd get further. We bought him very cheaply, really delighted. The last few days I've been asking everybody in the world if he stayed, and everybody told me he won't stay, and we plucked up enough courage. Jonathan Lower at home said he'd stay. He said he'd get the trip, but we asked Richard Dunwoody, he had the choice, and we didn't think, nobody else thought he'd get the trip, but we tried him.
Declan, you were cruising 2 out. You cruised, but off the bend, Young Hustler kicked for home. Did you have a moment of anxiety there?
Never. I was always happy where I was.
Yeah. But it's a fantastic double for you today with Staunch Friend, Staunch Fellow as well. This one, you've completed the Mackeson, Massey Ferguson double as well.
Well, I can
this one you remember?
About this one.
Many congratulations to you both.
Thank you.
And the presentations were made by George Ward of the sponsoring company to Darren and Stuart Mercer, father and son. They came into racing last year with Lemons Mill and now have gone on to a very big win very quickly indeed. The triple print, of course, George Ward stepped in last year when the AF Budge sponsorship came quickly to an end, and George is a great enthusiast, has a lot of horses, flat and jumping himself. But well done to the Mercers there. There were a lot of well-deserved cheers for Martin Pipe because he was languishing down in 8th place in the trainers' table. He wasn't happy about being there, and he'll certainly know what to do with that bottle, I can assure you. And also, the horses are not forgotten either. But Declan Murphy was really an artist in the saddle there, as we've seen so often before. He triumphed. Richard Dunwoody decided not to ride this one, to ride Egypt Mill Prince instead. That one man's meat is another man's poison. It's a funny old game. But they are the winners. Now let's move on to the runners and riders for the Lonesome Glory Hurdle for the Sport of Kings Challenge. Peter O'Sullivan.
Declan you saw there in the Call Home colours, number 4, but number 1 is Cardinal Red, ridden by Jamie Osborne. 2 is Saturn Lover, Graham McCourt. 3, Motorcade, the challenger from America, Richard Dunwoody. 4, Call Home, Declan Murphy. 5 is Cardi, Adrian Maguire. 6, Dance of Words, Warren Marston. And 7, Zamora, ridden by Carl Llewellyn. And here's how they bet.
And surprisingly, perhaps, it's Cady who's favourite at 5-2, having opened at 2-1. Although David Nicholson does fancy this horse. Then it's 3-1, the Northern Challenger, Satin Lover. 4-1, the Novice Call Home from 9-2, Declan Murphy's man. 6-1, Zamora. 10-1, Dance of Words. 10-1, the American Challenger, Motorcade. the unknown quantity in the race, and 14-1 Cardinal Red.
Drifting but very fancied is Cardi. He'd taken a few runs to come to himself, but he is a decent horse and a worthy favourite. Well, let's pick them up as they come down. This is Dance of Words, Howard Johnson, who owns and trains this one up in Crook, up in Northumberland, or Durham, I suppose it is. Warren Marston on board. Behind him, Zamira, the filly in the field. She's by Trojan Fen, Carl Llewellyn on board. After that, then we see Cardi, number 5, the favourite. Cardi ridden here by Adrian Maguire. He's having a quiet day by his standards. Then after him, you can see the red sleeves and the light yellow jacket. That is Motorcade, owned by Skip Crawford. He's here with his daughter Camille from America, and a big party of 25 of them. Skip, who is a master of the Potomac Foxhounds back in America, Woody on board. Then the stripes, the black cap here of Satin Lover. He's leading them out. There are two very similar ones. Graham McCourt on board this fellow. Then we've got Cardinal Red. We're waiting for this fellow to come back to the form he showed both here and at Aintree at the end of last season, but he's looked very moody. Ben DeHaan, in his first season training him, took over from Kath Warwin. And then the other similar colours here, Call Home, unbeaten so far in 3 runs. Declan Murphy, the man of the moment, is on board. Lovely big horse this. Josh Gifford thinks a lot of him. Well, Motorcade going out with peculiar colours, peculiar because we're not allowed to have colours like this with initials or other symbols on board. Taking a very strong hold going to post there with Woody. Well, before the action got serious, Julian Wilson spoke to his American trainer, Joe Gillette.
What is this horse?
Well, actually, I hope he's as good as Lonesome Glory. He's been very consistent in every one of his starts. He's always tried very hard. His worst out was a 4th, and he's only been in work for a couple of weeks after a month off for some stomach ulcers. So I think he's at least a very good type of horse anyway.
What sort of obstacles has he been jumping so far?
Well, he's been jumping our American hurdles, which are really quite like miniature fences here in England. So he hasn't had much experience over this type of a hurdle.
Do you feel he's got as good a chance as Lonesome Glory last year?
Well, I hope so. He ran as well. He won the race that Lonesome Glory won, a $50,000 race his 2 races ago, and came back on a track that didn't really suit him, 2 3/8 miles, a little short for him on the hard ground, and he was a good second. Lonesome Glory had been 3rd in that race before he came over here, so I'm hoping that perhaps he's of that caliber.
Yes, it's interesting. The Americans, great win last year. Blythe Miller, Bruce Miller and Lonesome Glory. It's something that doesn't happen very often. Can it happen again?
It's much more difficult for horses jumping than it is flat racing because, as we've already been told, it's the type of obstacles are different. And I think that the way we hurdle is sharp and quick over these hurdles where this horse might get up in the air a little bit. It's equally as difficult for us when we go to Europe to run horses in steeplechases. Their fences tend to be softer and it makes it more difficult for our horses. Yet the fellow comes over here and wins our big races, so it can be done.
Yes, he looks very fit to do his job. He's a tremendous following here today. They're master foxhounds from all over the States. It's a really big... There'll be a real cheer if this one wins. And cantering down fairly strong, Cardi, the favourite by Sharif Dancer, horse that we mentioned earlier as a stallion skew. And this horse, as I say, we'd seen him run a fair bit this season, and he was slightly disappointing to start with, but he's really come to himself now and won last time out. He's come back to the horse that we know he is.
Yes, you'd have to put a little bit of a question mark over that form at Worcester when he won, but he did carry a 12 stone. One of Martin's, Heathford Gale, was second, a good filly, but this is there's a decent horse here, and just walking away in the black and white is Satin Dancer. He's gone away now, and that last year looked like being a top novice, so it'll be interesting to see whether Katie is good enough to take him on.
Well, here is the horse that you were talking about. And where's that distinctive light white bridle of Nigel Tinkness?
Yes, the Tinkler family always run their horses in flashy bridles. It's an American thing, really. Sometimes you see horses running in red and green bridles in America, but it's a nice distinctive thing to have, and you can automatically pick out Nigel Tinkler's horses. This horse, I thought, ran a great race the other day at Newbury behind another one of Martin Pipe's Bold Boss. Was off the bridle for a long way. Graham kept niggling him along, and he looks as if 2.5 would suit him. They thought he was good enough to run in the champion hurdle last year, which was probably a little overplaying it a little bit, but he is a decent horse, and I think he's the one they all have to beat this afternoon.
He carries a lot of condition for a horse that has regular racing, and he set up a sequence last year, but his form is by far the best of any of the runners in this race. I think he'll win. Now, there is a lovely horse here, number 4. What a horse for the future, Skew. Just look at him. He's unbeaten in a couple of bumpers, Wincanton at Cheltenham last year, and then he won over 2/6 novice hurdle. He may not have beaten a lot, but he beat them pointlessly.
Josh has always been renowned in racing for buying beautiful steeplechasing types. He likes those type of horses, and this is another one. He really is stepping up in class, though. He's won his 2 bumpers at Wincanton and run a very good race here at Cheltenham with 24 runners. But I think sometimes it's difficult for horses coming out of bumpers. They've now going to put professional riders on them, because I always feel that a lot of the horses don't learn a lot in bumpers. They learn bad habits rather than good habits, and tend to run around a little bit. But he's had the practice now, and he's in the deep end.
Yes, deep end he certainly is. Well, let's have a look at some of the others now. Number 7 is Zamira, the only... Oh, no, there are 2 fillies in the race. Dancer Words is a filly too. But, Skew, this one hasn't sparkled this year. She looked decent last year.
She is a decent filly. She was disappointing at Chepstow, and ran a little bit better at Sandown today, and at Sandown last week, last Saturday. So
Right, jockeys, you're under orders.
that she begins to put back a little bit of form of what she had last year.
The only one we haven't seen is Cardinal Red. As I say, he was placed both. There he is at the Cheltenham Festival and at Aintree. He's now trained by Ben DeHaan. Kath Warwin owns him, and he's just been moody this season. Peter?
And he's jumped off in front. 10 flights to be jumped this time, and Cardinal Red, the leader from Zamora, as they come to the first of the 10 flights. Cardinal Red a long way clear of Zamora, and Zamora's Dance of Words. So right over the far side, and Cardinal Red a long way leader from Zamora, Dance for Words, and then Cardi. Cardinal Red all on his own, and Jamie Osborne a long way clear of Zamora, and Zamora a long way clear of the remainder, and they're just closely bunched. Very much cat and mouse game this. Cardinal Red lands a long way clear of Zamora, then Dance of Words. Behind Dance of Words is Cardi, with over on the far side the American challenger Motorcade. Behind Motorcade is Call Home, and then Satin Lover. And he very nearly went there, but he's all right. Cardinal Red. So coming to the flight that'll be the last next time, and it's the 4th this time, a long way clear. Cardinal Red. Cardinal Red from Zamora. Motorcade, he's made a little progress just in behind Zamora. Cardi on the outside, and then Dance for Words. And the back marker at the moment is Call Home and Declan Murphy. Cardinal Red still a long way clear as they run downhill. He pulled himself up at this point in an earlier meeting, but he's still continuing with plenty of momentum as he jumps the 5th. Had a little bit of a look at it. Jumped it nicely. Zamora and Motorcade upsides. Then Dance for Words. Satin Lover and Cardi. and Call Home, the 6th. Cardinal Red, still a long way clear. Motorcade jumps that second, the American Challenger. Then on the outside is Dance for Words, and on the inside Zamora and Cardi, and behind Cardi, Sutton Lover and Call Home over the 7th, and Cardinal Red landed clear of Motorcade, who jumps second, and behind him Dance of Words. Behind Dance of Words towards the outside is Cardi, and then Zamora, and then Satin Lover. 3 left to jump. Cardinal Red jumped clear of Motorcade, Cardi and Dance of Words. Racing to the top of the hill, and Cardinal Red still the leader. From Motorcade and Cardi and Dance of Words, and then Zamora, and then Satin Lover. And somewhere behind the remainder is Call Home, and no doubt that Declan Murphy is not going to complete a treble this time. Cardinal Red from Motorcade, Cardi and Satin Lover and Dance of Word, and then Zamora. Cardinal Red with 2 to jump. Motorcade travelling very promisingly under Richard Dunwoody, the American Challenger, towards the left of the picture. Cardinal Red and Motorcade lands just about in the lead there under Richard, and it's Motorcade from Cardinal Red now, and Cardi on the outside. Cardi now looking the danger to Motorcade, with Satin Lover getting closer all the time, and Cardi just taking a fractional advantage maybe on the near side to us. Motorcade on the far side, Satin Lover getting right into the picture now, and Cardinal Red trying to fight his way back on the inside. Cardi now has the advantage. Cardinal Red is fighting his way back on the far side, and here comes Satin Lover with the white bridle on the near side to take it up from Cardi as they come down to the final furlong in the Lonesome Glory Hurdle, and it's Satin Lover on the near side of Cardi. They jump it together. Cardi on the far side, Satin Lover on the near side, Satin Lover on the near side, and Cardi on the far side as they race up towards the line. It's Satin Lover with a fractional advantage now from Cardi, and Dance of Words finishing well on the stand side. Dance of Words beginning to get up as they race towards the line, and Dance of Words is going to win it and wins it well. And at the line, Dance of Word wins it from Satin Lover, and Cardi in 3rd, and Motorcade 4, and 5 Cardinal Red, and 6 Zamora, and 7 in fact was Call Home. And so the result of the Lonesome Glory Hurdle is first number 6, Dance of Words, owned by Mr. J. Howard Johnson, trained by Howard Johnson and written by Warren Marston. Second was number 2, Satin Lover, owned by Mr. D.S. Hall, trained by Nigel Tinkler and written by Graham McCord. And third was number 5, Cardi, owned by Mr. J.E. Brown, trained by David Nicholson and written by Adrian Maguire, with fourth number 3, Motorcade.
Well, we hadn't thought this one would win. She's only won 2 claimers and an upside-down handicap in Ireland, but certainly win she does. At this point, on the inside, the American's still going nicely. Cardinal Red just behind him. The Black Cat has run a good race. Cardi hits the front. Satin Lover looks as if it's cantering.
Dance of Wolves, just out of the picture there, was really under pressure there. Warren Marston giving her 2 reminders to keep her up to the work, and he's waving his stick at her again. You couldn't believe watching her there that she was going to come up the hill like she did. I just hear Satin Lover's come there to win his race, and I thought for once I was going to tip a winner, but he did make hard work of it. He didn't really look as if he wanted to go away from Cardi. Jumped the last well enough, and there's going to be a battle all the way up the running. Graham pulls his stick through into his right hand, and Cardi goes just a little, Satin Lover drifts a little bit across the track, pushing Cardi with him. But here we see Dance of Wolves in the red, right up the rails here, and she comes galloping by and eats up the ground. Perhaps she just wants further.
Or a stiff track, one at Carlisle, as you say, but this is an amazing result. She's come from nowhere, was struggling. Good one. Howard Johnson owns and trains this one. He's really making a name for himself. So is the jockey, of course, as we mentioned earlier in the day, Warren Marston. But races change very quickly here at Prestbury Park. Well, there is Warren. His mother's a very enthusiastic follower, and he's giving her plenty of cause for celebration. You know, she's a real fan of the game.
For young jockeys to ride a winner at Cheltenham, it's the place to do it. It gives you a great thrill. You love riding winners wherever it is, but Cheltenham it's a special place to ride winners at, and he will be able to have a glass of cider or a glass of lager to celebrate later on tonight.
Well, last year when Lonesome Glory won for America, it was 20-1. It was an outsider, and there's no doubt that the price of this one will also reflect a similar surprise. Number 6 there, Dance of Words by Comanche Run. Starting prices as follows.
First, number 6, Dance of Words, 8-1. Second, number 2, Satin Lover, 3-1. And third, number 5, Cardi, the 5-2 favourite. There are 7 runners.
And that completes our day at Cheltenham. Our live rugby league is not too far away. St Helens against Warrington, third round of the Regal Trophy. That's kicking off at 3 o'clock. Now, the Formula One season is over. The RAC Rally has come and gone. The traditional end to the British motorsport season is the British Rallycross Grand Prix. That took place last weekend, and we joined the devotees at Brands Hatch. Heading the contenders for the Autoglass British Rallycross Grand Prix, Will Gollop, 3 times the winner of this event, but he's had a tough year in the Peugeot 309. This is Pat Duran, another former winner and a man for the big occasions in the Ford Escort. Martin Schanker from Norway, one of the great names of the sport and brilliant off the start line in the advanced RS2000. And a Ford Escort for a young British driver of great talent, Richard Hutton. Add to that names like John Welch and Per Eklund, and the Grand Prix is as competitive as ever. The first part of the competition is a series of timed qualifying heats. Here's action from the first round of those heats. Tiff Niddell is the commentator.
Duran and Gollop, they're neck and neck up to this important first quarter at paddock. Gollop trying to go around the outside. It's slippy still, and he's lost it. Round just tapped Duran, but Gollop way out. And now John Welch comes through to second place as Gollop. Here we are in car. He's on the outside trying to get, and he just locks up the brakes, taps Duran, and he's already changing gear to get down to first gear to get going again. But out front, it's Duran now with a little bit of a lead over Welch, and these two keen to get good times in from these qualifying heats to get on the Durham wide, all through the tyres, onto the grass, trying to get on back onto the track for clearways here. He still leads. This is, and Welch dives up the inside and late him not. Doran's off. No, he's not. He's grappling for it. Four-wheel drive, of course, this Group A Escort. And Duran did a superb job there, and a real four-wheel drift as Welch comes back off the grass. Now he's going to come from the back of the grid to fight up. Duran escapes, and he's still in the lead. Here we see that manoeuvre of Welch, really a very late charge up the inside. Duran in car here, swirling the wheel, keeps the power on, all four wheels spinning underneath him, and eventually gets the Escort back under control. Welch, though, he's at the back. He's got to get through these midfield pack to get back at the front, but he's out wide. Oh, he's in the slush and mud, and donk. Now he's hit the right side of the car. We're in car now with Gollop from the back of the... There's Welch parked. Welch gets it back going again, right in front. He's not going to be a popular man at the end of today.
From the third round of qualifying heats, a check on the form of Per Eklund, best known as a World Championship rally driver, now right on the pace in European Rallycross as his form in the yellow Subaru demonstrates. Eklund leading from Pat Duran, who's about to hit some serious problems.
Eklund in control out front, driving beautifully. This rally man pulling away from Duran, who's doing all he can to catch Eklund. And the background, that's Sturkins in that four-wheel drive Fiesta. But it's Duran here looking to catch the lead, to close the gap down again through the S's. Oh, and that's fire underneath the car. And Duran's going to have to get this car parked up quick and get out. He's getting off the road. He's got the door open already. He'll be getting the belts undone, switching off the ignition, leaping out, and well, there's always drama with Duran around. The marshals, brilliant work, pounce upon the car, get the flames out. But Duran's always a hard trier. Here we see the car go, and there's just a sudden burst. That looks like it must be a fuel fire, the way it went up so quickly and dramatically. And Duran very cool here. He knows to get the car off towards the marshal's post at the edge of the track. And door open, out he jumps, and the marshal's already at the car before he's even out of it.
Much work was required to keep Pat Duran running for the final. It was accomplished, but Duran still had problems.
Pat, are you going to be on this grid? There's smoke everywhere.
We hope to be. We've finally just started it up a few seconds ago. Changed all the wiring loom because of the fire, and we found there's a hole in the radiator where the water's expanded and blown out, which is steam rather than smoke, so it's going to look more dramatic than what it really is.
Was that going to be an overheating problem in the race?
Well, obviously I think it might well be, but try the best we can.
But more important, we understand you burnt one of our cameras.
Well, you know, BBC, plenty of money. All those people out there paying their licence fees can come and send a little letter to me. Well, it nearly burnt me. I don't know about the camera.
Duran still with a chance. Our engineers had a tougher task, though. This is John Welch, third in the Grand Prix last year, and we're still in the third round of qualifying heats. Welch needing a good performance here to make the final, and he's in aggressive mood in the Astra, but so too was John Cross.
So John Cross just half a lap to go to win this rather dramatic heat, and but he's slowing down. He's backing right up a bit easily. Now the pack's with him. That's Peter Harold in the Volkswagen Beetle four-wheel drive, trying to go around the outside of Cross. Cross seems to be in some sort of trouble. Vickland in the Nissan's trying to get by Harold. They're all coming, and that's John Welch, who's come from the back down the outside. He's hit Cross. More contact there. Vickland, oh no, no way. Absolutely T-bones Cross. Welch, Vickland's out on the dirt and the grass. It's now Welch that leads this heat from fourth, and Cross gets going again, and he'll be Cross, that's for sure, the way he got bundled out of that. But it's going to be, it's Welch going to lead. Harold's got second, Vickland third. John Welch is going to win a very dramatic heat, and that's a win that could well get him